Hi guys, today I'm here with a Shop My Stash video. I recently asked you what you would like to see and I saw a lot of requests for Shop My Stash, using older products, Project Pan, that kind of stuff. So I figured I would at the very least start it out with a little Shop My Stash, and I went through my makeup collection, found a bunch of stuff that I haven't reached for in a while. A lot of them used to be my favorite, so I was kind of curious to see what I think about them now. A lot more full coverage style product as well, which I don't tend to use as much now, so I figured I would try to incorporate these more fuller coverage products into a routine that fits what I'm doing now, as opposed to trying to do a makeup look from like 3-4 years ago. So there are two new products in here though. The mascara, I'm gonna try out the new Fenty mascara just because I'm curious to try that. I just got that in the mail. And there was a request to try out a new Canadian brand, and I had happened to have just purchased their lip products, so I will be featuring them. I think it's a super cool brand. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So for years I was not a primer girl. I never ever used primers because I was using primers that were really silicone-y or like just like super matte and not good. And when I was looking through my primer collection, I was like, there's not that many here that I feel like are like on the older side. So I know that I was using this in 2017. It's one of the first primers that I really loved. This and like the YSL Touche Cloud, but I haven't used this in a while. It's the Smashbox Iconic Primer Stick. And I felt like this was just really nice because it was mattifying. I used it for travel, but it was not like cakey. It gave like some slip to the skin. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Then for foundation, this was one of my top foundations again for I think 2017. I wore this nonstop and I haven't really worn it since. So I'm gonna try out the Bare Minerals Bare Pro. Like I wore it for like a whole year, but then you know, like you move on, because that's the nature of the game. So I've got two different shades here. I've got Sable and Teak. Sable looks a little more yellow and Teak looks a little more kind of peach. I feel like 2017 Samantha would have gone for yellow. 2020 Samantha. I think I'm gonna go for the more peachy one. Got about a pump of this out. I can't remember what shade I used when I reviewed this, but I do have a full review on it. And I loved this. It was, I know I had a lot of acne at the time too, and it gave me amazing coverage. It wore so well, and I was so impressed with it. I've also reviewed the powder foundation from Bare Minerals, and during the 12 days of foundation this time around, I reviewed their Complexion Rescue Gel kind of tinted moisturizer product. So I've reviewed quite a few Bare Minerals and I've liked all of it, but this was definitely my top for quite some time. And just because I'm not using something anymore, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, honestly, I have so much that I can only use so much. I can only revisit so many things because I do need to try new things out. So that's why I like this style of video, because it's a nice way to kind of just look back and, you know, see what I think. That being said, I probably won't be doing, I won't do like a full day wear test or anything, because honestly, it is the evening as I'm filming this video. I normally film in the mornings. But yeah, I like the way this looks and I'm happy with that shade match. If I remember correctly, I feel like it did oxidize a little bit. And this is pretty much a spot on match for me now. But I don't think it looks heavy or cakey. I definitely didn't use a lot and I used a sponge. These are both two things that are gonna make your foundation look a little bit lighter in coverage and in finish. Then I'm gonna use good old Shape Tape. Remember Shape Tape? This was my life until I found the Too Faced Born This Way. And I found them to be quite similar. They've also come out with like a Shape Tape Glow, which I'd be curious to try. Why don't I highlight like old times? I'm just gonna pat this out with my sponge. This is an older shirt, by the way, too. It's from Shein a couple years back. I have an old Shein haul if you're curious to see my experience with them. And I didn't put much of this on. I let it set slightly under my eyes, and now I'm just patting out with my fingers. And then I'm going to take my Real Technique setting brush. Sometimes I get asked questions about the brushes that I use, and I've got 2 videos on my favorite brushes, and then a video specifically on e.l.f. brushes. I'm actually going to add just a little bit more. And I'm gonna fill in my eyebrows. I've actually started filling in my eyebrows again in 2020, late 2019, for no reason in particular. I was just kind of like, I want to try that again. When I started getting my brows threaded, I pretty much was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Because I don't like draw my brows on. I don't like create a new brow or anything. I just kind of like literally, this is what I do. Like almost nothing. It's very imprecise, especially when you compare it to like other people's like whole brow routines. This is pretty much it. I might make it a little bit longer, just slightly, and then kind of fill in here and then a couple of strokes there. And that's all I do. And I would normally, back in the day, have done this while I let my concealer set. And now that I don't fill in my brows, I just kind of like sit here while I let my concealer set, unless I'm doing like cream products or something, because I don't gel my brows till after I've bronzed. This brow is a little bit shorter, but yeah, this is all I do to my brows. Like I'm not cutting anything out here, so you can see it's really nothing, because I have pretty full brows as is, and I really don't like the look of a harsh brow, especially transitioning back from only using a clear brow gel to pencil. I really don't like it to look harsh, especially towards the front. I'll take my finger a lot of the time and just kind of smush it. So professional. So that added Shape Tape I put on, I'm just gonna pat around the edges. This is in the shade Medium. I think I normally use Tan Sand. Medium is what I had in my drawer there. Then to set my under eyes, I'm gonna use the original banana powder from Ben Nye. This is old. Very annoying packaging. I like the powder, but I don't reach for it mostly because of the packaging. It's so annoying, but it's a classic. To set my face, I'm gonna use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Powder. The shade looks a little deep. I know I've used up an entire one of these before. I used to really love this. I still do. Haven't reached for it in a little while, but I do really like it. This powder brush is from Quo, one of their new ones, quite big. And because this powder is kind of on the darker side and the foundation's already quite matte, I don't feel the need for a more like dense powder brush. To bronze, I'm gonna use, I think, the first bronzer I ever used that actually worked for me, the NYX Matte Bronzer in Deep. Wow. I always thought I couldn't bronze. I was like, oh, you know, there's no point to bronze when you have deeper skin. But that's so not true. As we know, bronzer is now one of my favorite things in the world. There just wasn't many bronzers around, but now there's tons. But this NYX one is still great. It looks like a little bit cool toned in the pan, but I find on the skin it's really nice. It's not too cool, not too warm. It's a really nice formula, and I love their California Beeman bronzers as well. They have like a more of a satin shimmer finish, but nothing like obnoxious. If you're looking for another NYX not matte bronzer. But yeah, these are just freaking classics. Also, you'll notice the curls are back. I'm doing a lot of blowouts this winter because I've been wearing hats, and it's just easier. Like, I've never worn hats in my life in the wintertime, and now I'm wearing hats and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm actually warm. And like, you can wear a hat with curly hair. There's actually a brand out there that has silk lined hats for curly hair, but it's still just easier to have a blowout. But the curls are back. I love the curls. I love them both. I like being able to have variety. Now for brow gel. It's a very rare time that you see me use not the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. This was a brow gel that I fell in love with a couple years back whenever this came out, the CoverGirl Shape and Define. Now this has like a lot of product on it. So that was kind of my one problem with it, was there's so much product on it, but I really liked it at the time. And it gave good hold. I like the brush on it, although the brush is a little bit big. It's kind of like an old school mascara brush, but I prefer a bit of a bigger brush. I don't love the tiny brush brow gels, because I find I have a lot of brow hair and they just don't get in there. They don't distribute enough product, and I find a bit of a bigger brush gives you fluffier brows, but you obviously need to have the hair there for the brush to fluff it. You get me? So I had to clean this off before, but I really like the way that this looks. I loved this brow gel. I loved the NYX one, and I loved the L'Oreal one. Maybelline had one I think I liked, but yeah, I think that's nice. For blush, I've definitely told this story many times, but Sleek Makeup is the first brand that I ever purchased makeup from online. This and BH Cosmetics when I first started watching YouTube, and I watched a lot of British YouTubers. I don't know if I just hadn't found the Americans or if Brits were just taking over at the time, but yeah, Sleek was huge. So this is their blush in Life's a Peach. It's gorgeous. Sleek makes incredible blushes. If you have deeper skin, they just have really good colors. It's affordable. When I ordered this, they did ship to Canada, no problem, but I'm not totally sure their situation now. But this is such a nice blush. I remember getting this when I was in university. Some of this makeup's old, but I remember getting this. I ordered 3 blushes and taking it to my psych class. I was in university and opening it up. It was like a huge theater style classroom, and like opening it up in the back with my friends. We're like, yeah. Oh, good times. Now I'm really curious to see how this is gonna look. It is the MAC Pigment in Vanilla. This is the travel size, so I think it costs like $12. I've had this for a million years. I used to use this non-stop, and I've still got tons of product in there. So if you're into MAC pigments, definitely look into the travel sizes. They don't have the travel size for everything, but the way I use this is I just take the product that's on the top. And this is actually interesting timing because the reason I picked this up, although her skin tone is like basically the opposite of mine, is Nikki Tutorials always used this as a highlight. And I was like, you know, we don't look at all alike, but I like her and I'm gonna buy what she's talking about, and this was that. So she used to use this all the time, and then I picked it up and I was like, oh, it actually does work on me. And I think it does. It looks quite cool toned. It looks kind of like white in the container, but I think it looks really pretty. And I actually just watched her, you've probably seen it now, her video, and it's just, I think that video, and I don't know what's gonna come after this because the video just came out as I'm filming this video, but I think for people who are going through her situation, having somebody that so many people look up to, that has such impact and such a voice and is such a trusted person in the industry and just in general, like, I think that other people going through what she went through are gonna find such comfort in her telling her story. Obviously, it seems like the circumstances of her having to do it are horrific. Like, I am mind blown. But I think overall it's pretty incredible. So she's somebody that I've been watching for a million years, and yeah, I can't imagine how she's feeling today. She must have just been so nervous, but from what I can tell, everybody's being very positive and supportive, and of course you're gonna have naysayers. I got more, this is totally like unrelated, but just speaking of naysayers, but I got more dislikes on my most recent weekly vlog than like normal by far. And not a ton, it was like 6 or 7, but it's like, this is a video about me surprising my boyfriend by flying his parents halfway across the world for his birthday and Christmas. Maybe I said something else in the video that pissed them off, who knows. I'm gonna zoom you in for my eyes. But it's just funny. And like, I don't dislike videos, even if I don't like the person or don't like the message or anything, I don't dislike, I just, you know, move along. It's, you know, if it's up to you. But it's just funny. And it doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. I'm gonna use Modern Renaissance because, like, obviously a classic. I'm gonna take Raw Sienna and Burnt Orange. But on that note, thank you so much to everybody who left such sweet messages on that video. That freaking surprise was 6 months in the making. Oh, it was so hard because we were with Nem's parents in October, so like me and his parents all knew. And then our kind of like friend who's here in the building, he was helping me out with it too, and we see him a bunch, and I was just like, oh my god, how are we not going to spill the beans? And like, Nem's brother knew, like all my friends knew, everybody knew except for Nem's. And it was so like 6 months holding on to that secret. He's like, oh, like, should we go away over Christmas? Or like, you know, just like he was asking his parents when they were here, like, oh, what are you guys doing over Christmas? You should go here, you should do this. And we're all just sitting there like, ugh. Anyways, it worked, but good God, the day of that surprise, I was just a wreck. I'm taking Realgar and Venetian Red. I'm just kind of, I think I'm gonna go all matte for this look, besides in the inner corner. It can be hard to find that balance sometimes when you're creating content between, like, you know, having all new stuff, because that's what people are like messaging you saying, are you reviewing this? Are you reviewing that? You know, and then when you talk about new products, obviously that brings new views and a new audience potentially. But then at the same time, you have people saying like, oh, I'm so burnt out from all the launches, etc., etc. So I try to find that balance, and I think I have a pretty good variety on my channel, and in between drugstore and high-end and old makeup and new makeup, because that's what I like. Like, I'm not even really doing it on purpose. That's just like, that's what I like, you know. Took the eyeshadow a little far, so I'm just taking my Eco Tools Wannabe Beauty Blender, which is great. Just kind of patting here. So for mascara, I am going to use the new Fenty Beauty Full Frontal Mascara, and this is supposed to have like a flat, yeah, so it's got like, if you can see, it's kind of flat. It's not fully round, and then it's got just like a more traditional side. This is good. Really wispy, really long, but good volume too. Tons of curl. Wow. I feel like this gives like no clumps at all. I don't actually mind a mascara that has like the potential to clump, because you can get really good volume that way, but I feel like my lashes look so wispy and so long. I think they look really good. I got a little up here as always. Let it dry first before you do this. So I had mentioned that I had asked you for recommendations on videos you wanted to see, and like I said, Shop My Stash was definitely up there, but there was somebody who commented about a brand called Cheekbone Beauty, and I had actually already purchased from them, but the comment had gotten a bunch of likes, and I was like, wow, that is perfect timing. I heard of this brand through Christy Lee. She is now, I can say, a friend of mine. We've gone to lunch twice. She hosts the podcast Canadian True Crime, which is one of my favorite podcasts, and she had talked about this brand because it is a Canadian brand, but I think even more importantly to point out, it is founded by Jen Harper, and she is an Indigenous woman. So this brand is a First Nations brand, which as Canadians, we can really be on our high horse about like, oh, we're Canadians, we don't have issues, we don't have that, we don't have this, we don't have that. We absolutely do. And especially when it comes to First Nations people, they have been treated poorly, they continue to be treated poorly. We have an issue with missing and murdered Indigenous women, especially. We also have a lot of issues with the mental health of children who are First Nations, and it's just really, really something that is kind of swept under the rug here in Canada. It's something we don't talk about very often. So I've talked about it briefly before in my Canadian beauty videos, but I thought, you know, what better way to kind of, first of all, bring a little bit of attention to this, but also you know, support somebody who is actually trying to make a difference. So not only has Jen created this brand herself, which I think is incredible. She grew up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I have no affiliation to her. This is what I got off of the About page of the website. I did use Christy Lee's code though. I'll link her code down below for 10% off, but it is a cruelty-free brand. They're looking to be more or less waste-free, I think, by 2023, and she also gives back to the community, which I think is really, really important. So I picked up two different things. I picked up a liquid lipstick and a long-lasting lip gloss. I can't even remember what colors I bought. Shipping came pretty quickly too. It wasn't free shipping, but like I said, Christy has that. She had a 10% off coupon code. And I may actually get in touch with Jen eventually and see if I can get a coupon code for you guys too. But let's try out the liquid lipstick. This one is in the shade Ashley. I believe the lipsticks are actually named after real women. Ooh, oh, this goes perfect. I haven't actually worn a liquid lipstick, I feel like, in a long time. And then I'm actually going to try the lip gloss over, just see what happens. This one is in the shade Sundance, and I thought this was so beautiful. You can't really see it over the lipstick. I'm going to remove the lipstick and put on the gloss and just see what that looks like. Let's try the gloss on its own. I think that'll be really pretty too. But yeah, I thought that this brand just sounded great. Their website all the women, first of all, they have actual swatches and you can see actual people wearing the lipsticks, which is a delight and something that I don't understand that all brands don't do. I like this gloss. It's not too pigmented, which I appreciate. It's buildable. It's a little bit of a thicker texture, which I appreciate because I feel like that's always going to last longer on your lips. The brand is not only not tested on animals as well, but it's also vegan, which is pretty cool. I really like the way that everything looks. It's interesting because I feel like my makeup preferences, they haven't changed like a lot. Like, I mean, I still love a warm eye and whatnot, but I was able to still get a look that I would feel comfortable wearing today out of products that I loved. Some of these were 6-7 years ago, some of them were 2 years ago, but it all came together really nicely. And sometimes it's a matter of adjusting your application or whatever. Like, you know, there's so much makeup, and even though your preferences may change, you don't necessarily need to run out to the store and buy all the new stuff. You can adjust things like I mentioned in my foundation review on Tuesday. You know, if you've got a matte foundation and you want something that's more tinted moisturizer, mix it into your moisturizer. Create your own tinted moisturizer. That's something I did a ton back in the day. So yeah, really happy with how this looks. Be sure to check out Cheekbone Beauty. Like I mentioned, even just, you know, head to their website. That's always something helpful for brands, just so that you can kind of boost them up in the search records. And I really love the way that this gloss looked, and the liquid lipstick felt really comfortable too. So, oh, and the mascara. I love the new Fenty mascara. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!